19.83 seconds. That's what it took for gold medalist Tommie Smith to break the world record in the 200-meter dash on October 16th, 1968 at the Mexico City Olympic Games. Standing atop the podium, he's raising his right fist wearing a black glove with his head tilted down. Silver medalist and white Australian athlete Peter Norman to his right, wearing an Olympic Project for Human Rights button. And then the bronze medalist holding up his left arm with a black glove, John Carlos, finishing in third. On the morning of October 16, 1968, U.S. athletes Tommie Smith and John Carlos took first and third in the 200-meter dash. After the race was completed, the three men went to the podium for their medals. The two U.S. athletes received their medals shoeless, wearing black socks to represent black poverty in America. Smith, the gold medalist, wore a black scarf around his neck to represent black pride in America. Carlos, the bronze medalist, had his tracksuit top unzipped to show solidarity with all blue-collar black workers in the United States. Also, he had a necklace of beads around his neck, described as those are to represent the individuals who were lynched or killed and that no one said a prayer for, that were hung and being tarred. It was those thrown off the side of the boats in the Middle Passage. That is John Carlos wearing the beads around his neck, the bronze medalist. All three athletes wore an Olympic Project for Human Rights button after Norman, who was the silver medalist, an Australian, asked for a button because he was empathetic to their cause. People saw this famous picture and saw this happen live in 1968 when Tommie Smith and John Carlos raised their fists into the air. Tommie Smith once said, "If I win, I'm an American, not a black American. But if I did something bad, then they would say I was a Negro. We are black and we are proud of being black. Black America will understand what we did tonight." Tommie Smith and John Carlos made a political statement on the Olympic stage. Some people say that sports does not need politics. Some people believe that politics has no place in sports. Well, some could say the same thing for what Colin Kaepernick did when he started to take a knee during the national anthem, which inspired other people to do the same. Some people believe that politics doesn't belong in sports or entertainment and movies and television. What John Carlos and Tommie Smith did was they brought black power and black oppression in the United States during the civil rights movement in the 1960s to the national stage. Mexico City was the first Olympic Games in 1968 to be televised live, and it was also televised in color. What some people couldn't believe was that Carlos and Smith would take this opportunity to make a political statement. What they really wanted to do was show that blacks were tired of being treated as second-rate citizens. What they did was they said, "We are black and we are proud and we are fighting for black power and equality and civil rights in the United States. And this is how we are doing it." What's crazy is that the International Olympic Committee president was Avery Brundage, an American who was furious with anyone who tried to make any political statement. In fact, he ordered John Carlos and Tommie Smith to be suspended from the United States Olympic team after the Black Power salute, and he banned them from the Olympic Village. Tommie Smith and John Carlos were actually escorted out of Mexico City after this salute because they raised their fists for black power. Avery Brundage is the same man, too, who was on the United States Olympic Committee in 1936 when he said he had no objections and no problems sending American athletes during the Olympic Games in Berlin, and that Brundage even said he had no problem with Nazi salutes on the podium during the Olympic Games. Brundage had been accused of being one of the United States' most prominent Nazi sympathizers after World War II broke out. And he even said to Jesse Owens that he should not make any political statements while winning 4 golds in Hitler's Olympics in 1936. Smith and Carlos were ostracized, basically cast away after they got back from the Olympic Games. The Olympics have a motto: Sidious Altius Fortius, faster, higher, stronger. Although what these men felt was that the Olympic Games were angry, nasty, and ugly because of what had happened. Smith said athletics and sports go hand in hand. Carlos wrote a number of books saying that what they did, they would do it again because they were proud to be black Americans, but ashamed that they were treated as second-rate citizens in the United States during this context. And so it was horrible, the treatment that happened to these men. But what we have to understand is they weren't just making a political statement. They were making a human rights statement, saying that everyone, black and white, regardless of where you're from, you are equal, and everyone is equal. In recent years, it has been more than 50 years since that iconic moment. Tommie Smith and John Carlos are praised as heroes. Their iconic image of the Black Power salute is on display in many museums across the world. And what we will actually see in Washington, D.C. is that iconic statue of the two men punching their fists in the air, saying that it is a black and white America that needs to simply be America. I hope you enjoyed this, and I hope you learned something about this Black Power salute image, and I hope you understand that these men were fighting for racial equality, not just in the United States, but in the world.